Have you ever wondered why your life has never quite felt normal? Why joy never lasts long before the next storm arrives? Why your peace is always touched by pressure? And why you carry a deep awareness that few others seem to understand? It is not that you are weak. It is not that you are cursed. It is that you were marked. Long before you were born, something sacred was spoken over you. And that whisper, though forgotten by the world, still echoes in your spirit. You walk through crowds but feel alone. You give more than you receive. You see through smiles and sense what others cannot speak. There is a knowing inside you that has no name, a weight in your chest that does not come from pain alone, but from purpose. The ache is holy. The isolation is not random. The rejection you faced was not a coincidence. You were hidden, you were forged, you were chosen. But chosenness is not what many think it is. It is not applause, it is not comfort, it is not ease. It is the long road through fire. It is the silence no one hears. It is being misunderstood even by those you love. To be chosen is to carry what others drop, to feel deeply, to see clearly, and still be asked to wait in the shadows while others shine. If this has been your story, then you are not lost, you are not forgotten, you are exactly where God has led you. Because in the kingdom of heaven, suffering is not wasted, it is sacred soil, and those who suffer most are often the ones called to carry the most light. Today, we will walk slowly into this mystery. We will uncover 3 sacred reasons why the chosen ones suffer more than others, not as punishment, but as preparation, as purification, as prophecy unfolding. You were never meant to blend in, you were meant to be set apart. Let us begin. You suffer because you are gifted beyond measure. There is a weight that comes with being different, not outwardly, not in appearance, but inwardly, where the soul aches and the spirit stretches. You were born with a sensitivity that others mistake for weakness. You see what they cannot see. You feel what they cannot feel. You dream what they dare not imagine. This is not a curse, it is a confirmation. To be gifted by God is to be pierced by heaven. And those piercings often come in silence. There is a knowing inside you that speaks before words, a discernment that wakes you in the night, a holy tension in your chest that will not let you settle for the ordinary. Others move through life untouched, but you carry atmospheres. You walk into rooms and the temperature changes. You meet people and their spirits reveal themselves to you before they say a word. It is not paranoia, it is not overthinking, it is spiritual sight. Joseph was just a boy when dreams began to find him. Not dreams of fantasy, but glimpses of future authority. Heaven whispered secrets into his sleep, and the moment he spoke them, the war began. His own brothers turned against him, not because he was wrong, but because he was marked. Joseph did not ask for the dream asked for him, and it asked for everything, his comfort, his freedom, his name. He was thrown into a pit by those who shared his blood, sold into slavery, falsely accused, imprisoned in silence. Yet the dream never died, it simply went underground. You suffer, not because you are broken, but because you are becoming. What God placed in you cannot be explained, it can only be revealed. And revelation comes with resistance. The gifted are not allowed to remain untouched. They are carved, pressed, refined. And in that carving, God sharpens the vision. The world teaches you to hide your difference. Heaven teaches you to carry it. Your tears are oil. Your pain is a passage. You were born to carry something holy, and holiness always costs more than it explains. What looks like isolation is actually incubation, and what feels like rejection is divine redirection. Now, let us walk deeper into the mystery. There is another reason the chosen suffer, one that carries the weight of generations. You suffer because your life is not just your own. There are callings that echo beyond the walls of a single life. There are people whose story is not theirs alone, but the gate through which others will walk into freedom. If you are one of the chosen, your suffering is not contained to your timeline. It is generational, it is prophetic, it is intercessory in nature. The weight you carry was never just yours. Some of the pain you have endured did not begin with you. And some of the blessings that will follow your obedience will not end with you. You are a bridge, a breaker of patterns, a restorer of paths. The battle you fight is not just personal, it is priestly. It is the price of standing in the gap for those who cannot yet stand for themselves. Hannah wept alone at the altar, mocked and misunderstood. Her womb was closed not because God forgot her, but because her child would carry a prophetic mantle that would change the direction of a nation. Samuel was not born of chance. He was born of groaning, born of intercession, born of delay that felt like death. Hannah's breakthrough was not just her joy, it was Israel's turning point. You too have been delayed not because you are denied, but because the timing of heaven must align with the unfolding of destiny. What you birth will touch more than your home. It will heal more than your heart. It will liberate those who are still in chains because you refused to curse the waiting. There is something inside you that the enemy fears. Not because of who you are, but because of who will rise after you. Your obedience is the soil where others will build. Your yes to God is a seed that generations will harvest. That is why the opposition has been so intense. It is not about you. It is about what is locked inside you. And that is why you must not break. When you finally emerge, you will not come alone. Others are tied to your rising. But before the crown, there must be the crushing. And in that crushing, something holy is made. Now, let us go deeper still. There is one final reason your suffering has been so relentless. One that hides not in the attacks from others but in the quiet forge of the soul. You suffer because greatness requires refining. There is a silence God allows that does not mean absence, it means refinement. When you are chosen, you are not thrown onto the stage, you are taken into the wilderness, hidden from view, cut off from applause, placed in the furnace where only God sees the fire. And there, in the place of obscurity, he begins to carve out greatness not with fanfare, but with fire. David was anointed in the presence of his family, but he was not crowned that day. He returned to the sheepfold with oil still dripping from his head, yet nothing around him changed, except his spirit. His brothers went to war. He went back to the fields. And it was there in solitude and obedience that he learned to sing to God with no audience, to fight lions with no applause, to write psalms with no one listening. The refining of the chosen is not punishment. It is preparation. God does not trust thrones to those who have not endured caves. There are things you only learn in hiding, disciplines that only grow in drought, anointing that only forms under pressure. What you are becoming cannot be rushed. The silence is not wasted. The obscurity is not a mistake. It is the sacred ground where kings are made. And even when David was brought into the palace, it was not to rule. It was to serve the very king who would later hunt him. Imagine that. To be chosen by God and yet ordered to serve a man God had already rejected. But David served with honor. Because the refining process teaches more than leadership. It teaches submission. It builds discernment. It deepens compassion. And it purifies the soul until nothing remains but a vessel God can trust. You may be wondering why your gift remains unseen, why your voice feels silenced, why every door seems to resist you. It is not because you are forgotten. It is because you are in the fire. And the fire is doing what only fire can do. It is making you gold. This is why others do not understand your path. Their calling did not require this level of refinement. But yours does. Because what you are called to carry is not small. and what God is building in you must last. So if the suffering has been deep, it is because the purpose is deeper still. The weight of your calling demands a strength that only pain can produce. And though no one sees it yet, heaven knows. Heaven sees. Heaven remembers. And now, having walked through the pain of gifting, the burden of intercession, and the silence of refining, we arrive at the edge of something sacred. A final truth waits, one that has been hidden in your story all along. There is a mystery in your suffering that only heaven fully understands. You have walked through shadows no one saw, carried burdens no one named, and yet through it all something sacred has remained unshaken within you. A flicker, a whisper, a knowing that you were never ordinary, that the fire was not meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal what could not be touched by flame. The world may never know what it cost you to stand where you are, but heaven knows, and God does not waste the tears of the chosen. In His design, pain is not punishment. It is prophecy in disguise. It is the veil that covers greatness until it is time to be unveiled. You were not abandoned. You were hidden, set apart for a time only God could see. And now that time begins to unfold, not loudly, not all at once, but like the dawn breaking over a sleepless night. Quiet, certain, irreversible. You do not need to explain the road you have walked. You only need to remember who walked it with you. Even in silence, even in delay, even in the caves, the pits, the prisons, the wilderness, God was there, shaping what the world will one day call extraordinary. You are the answer to a cry someone has not yet spoken, the light to a darkness not yet revealed, the voice for a silence still trembling in someone else's soul. And though you suffer now, it is only because your story is not small. What is forged in fire becomes a key in the hand of God. And keys do not open doors for themselves, they open doors for others. If this truth has stirred something within you, if these words have named a pain you have never fully understood, then do not let them fade in silence. Speak. Share. Let this be the beginning of your remembrance. Like this video if it resonated with the ache you carry. Subscribe if you are ready to explore the deeper path of the chosen. And if you feel led, share in the comments how your suffering has shaped you. Your story might be the confirmation someone else has been praying for. This is not the end, this is the unveiling. The refining was real, the wilderness was necessary, and the oil that is now rising from your life was always part of the plan. You were not overlooked, you were chosen.